Hello slimy fertilers, and today we've got a hopefully quick video, although I always say that and it ends up going on for about 20 fucking minutes, just regarding an article that came up courtesy of our friends at the Metro newspaper. For those who don't know, the Metro is basically a free newspaper that's given out usually on buses and trains, but it seems to be getting more of a presence online than it does in people's actual physical hands, and they occasionally put on opinion pieces like this, with this article here, which turned up today, called "It's Not Okay for Men to Move You Out of the Way by Putting Their Hands on Your Hips."
Holy fucking shit, they are not putting walnuts on walnut whips anymore. Are they fucking retarded?
I know that, right, but that is an important issue. But at the moment, we're having a look and see, why it is that it's so bad for men to move women out of the way by putting their hands on their hips. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with here, because I've got a pretty good idea what it's going to be. Okay, so this is the start of the article. Here we have a picture of our contributor, who is a lady called Rebecca Reed. And there's a nice picture of her stood there looking all empowered and everything, because she don't need no man.
Jesus titty fucking Christ, I bet she has busted a few balls in her time.
Now, don't judge on appearance. Let's judge her by the content of the article that she's written, which I'm going to read for you now. When I was 18, I worked in a pub. As teenage jobs go, it was pretty bearable. The money was okay, and the company wasn't terrible. The only part I really hated was my boss. He was, to use an old-fashioned phrase, lech. He told me to dress to show off my curves. He looked down my top when I bent over, and his most frustrating habit was that whenever we were both behind the bar and he wanted to move past me, he would run his hand down my waist and over my hips, hold my hips and then steer me. It made me feel sick. Okay, so yeah, this, she has done the preamble and the setup, and yeah, the boss or landlord or whatever it was of the pub does indeed sound like a bit of a dick. But there are two sort of things here that kind of jump out to me, and first and foremost, the bit where she says, the landlord told her to dress to show off her curves and everything like that. Now, the thing is, pubs are more often than not frequented by men, and men like to see attractive young women behind the bar. This in turn generates more customers. People come back, they want to chat up the barmaids and flirt with them and stuff like that, and the barmaids are free to flirt with them back. This sometimes results in them getting tips from the customers. I've known quite a few lasses who worked in pubs, and they quite happily, on days when it was supposed to be busy, came to work wearing, low-cut tops, wonder bras, short skirts and stuff like that, basically to get tips. Now, there's absolutely nothing at all that says that they have to do that. To do that is of their own free choice. If the boss says, oh, dress sexy and stuff like that, she's quite well within her rights to say, no thank you, I'll dress, comfortably. If a uniform is provided for work, then obviously you have to wear the uniform, but if not, dress appropriately for the particular job in hand. Make sure that you're not wearing anything that's going to cause injury or discomfort while working, because working behind a bar is extremely intensive. You're walking around all the time, bending over, picking things up. It gets hot, and you sweat a lot and things like that. I know this because I've worked behind a bar, and I've worn a uniform working behind the bar as well, and the uniform made me hot as fuck, and it made me extremely uncomfortable wearing it, but because it was a company uniform, you had to wear it. So yeah, why didn't she just say, no, I'm not going to do that, And if it was looking down a top all the time, that's sexual harassment, and even though she provides no time frame for when she did this job, she can still basically put a thing, sexual harassment, write a letter to him saying, please stop doing this or whatever. Similarly with the, he would touch my hips and move me. Sometimes, obviously somebody's in your way and you need to move them out of the way, Now, this can be done with a simple, excuse me, can I come past you? But if anybody who's worked in a pub knows that it gets quite noisy working in pubs, so you can stand there all day and say, excuse me, can I come past? And people can't hear you. So what you generally do is you will, lightly touch the person, either with one or both hands, and just sort of scoop them out of the way, so that you can get through. This happens to both male and female employees, and it works. Yes, all right. So she didn't like people touching her hips. That's fine. She could have said, "Would you please stop touching my hips?" And in a kind of suggestive, seductive manner. I don't like it, and I don't want you to do it anymore. There are plenty of places like for when I want to get past people and I can't tell them to, can you please move out of the way. You can touch the shoulder. Just touch the shoulder, lightly touch the shoulder, and just scoop them out of the way, things like that. That's okay for both men and women. Or if you want to be a dickhead, you can be rough with them and grab hold of them by the arms and sort of push them out of the way. So it's kind of, it's one of those things where you can actually deal with the problem without whinging about it a few years later in a newspaper article. I mean, if he really wanted to be an arsehole, he could have just fucking, shoved her like.
Move, bitch, get out the way, get out the way, bitch, get out the way. Move, bitch, get out the way, get out the way, bitch, get out the way.
It wasn't just the fact that he was old enough to be my dad, or his dedication to the use of hair gel. It wasn't even the grossness of his hands on my body. It was the presumption of it. He just seemed to think that it was fine to touch me whenever he felt like it. He didn't seem at all concerned that I flinched every time he did it, or started to give him the widest possible berth behind the bar. I like here how there's also a picture of Donald Trump basically doing what they're suggesting that this guy has done, except they've got this a little bit wrong. The picture of President Trump is actually on the website, which I'll put a link to down below. It's a GIF basically showing President Trump and a woman. I'm not quite sure what that is. Republican National Conference, I presume. It's a woman coming up and congratulating him. I'm not quite sure who the woman is. But he comes on and he basically embraces her, and then he places his hands on her hips like such, and embraces her, kind of thing, in a gesture of I don't know, compassion, not compassion, just embracement basically. She also does the same to him. She places her arms around his chest and shoulders. What happens if Donald Trump didn't want this woman touching him? This is just basically another cheap shot at Donald Trump. But yeah, she does make the article does make a point here. It doesn't matter about the man. It wasn't the fact that he was old enough to be my dad, fair enough, or his dedication. It was the presumption of it. To which I say, well, she goes on to list, he could touch me whenever he thought he could touch me whenever he felt like. Didn't seem concerned at all that I flinched or that I started giving the widest possible berth. Did you actually say anything to him about it? See, this is the thing. He's just going on this, this thing, and it's an old-fashioned thing. Yeah, she's already basically gone into quite detail about how he was a man that was older than her and everything like that. But that's the way that people used to behave. It was, as long as you weren't, trying to, shag her behind the bar sort of thing, or throttle yourself up against her, just a quiet, a quick, movement, hands on the hips to move her out of the way. If it bothers you at all, you say about it. It's like, oh yeah, but what happens if I say something and lose my job? Well, that's probably not going to happen. It could happen, but then again, jobs working in pubs, and I'm not being funny, jobs working in pubs are 10 a penny. There are, if there's pubs in the area, they're always usually wanting some bar staff, something like that. Not so much anymore, really, because the pub trade in Britain has, gone into decline since the smoking ban, and since people didn't have the money to go to pubs anymore. But if people don't know, and if you said to him, please can you stop doing that, and he doesn't, then yeah, you've got a right to call him a dirty old man or a pervert or whatever. And you can, it's like I say, you can put claims of sexual harassment in. It's no problem if he sacks you for it. Sacking you because you reported the sexual harassment is actually an offence. So you could take that to tribunal. But no, she said nothing, did nothing, and now several years later she decides she wants to have a good moan about it. As far as he was concerned, working with me meant being allowed to put his hands on my body as and when he saw fit. Once, feeling worried about it, I asked one of the other bar staff. "Oh, he does it to everyone," she told me, as if it made it okay. "He's harmless really, he'd never do anything." Apparently the fact that he'd never actually try it on with me was supposed to make me feel better about things. Well, this is the thing. Asking other members of staff, and other members of staff might not mind it. They have the right to their own individual choices in life. But again, if you didn't like it, there was nothing stopping you from telling him to stop doing it, or when he comes up and put his hand on you, to slap his hands away, tell him to fuck off. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, but obviously you don't do that. But to carry on. Where does the idea that it's okay to grab hold of someone in order to move them come from? It happens all the time. This morning, while getting off the tube, I stumbled. A man behind me placed a hand on either of my hips and steered me away from him. But the time I had opened, I think it means by the time I opened my mouth. But the time I opened my mouth to try and tell him to fuck off, he was gone. So you stumbled, and he basically put hands on you. I think you'll find more than likely he put his hands on you to stop you from falling over, not to steer you out of the way. Because if you're stumbling around, you can't really be steered in any particular direction. You're just gonna fall. So basically, this guy put his hand on you to stop you from put his hands on you to stop you from falling over by grabbing you at the centre of your body, the centre of your mass, which stopped you from falling over. Otherwise, you'd be complaining that you went flat on your face and smashed your nose in and stuff like that. If you'd have told, by the time I opened my mouth trying to tell him to fuck off, he was gone. I think thank you would have been more appropriate. But now, this is the thing. Yeah, it's. Anyways, to carry on. When I tweeted this sentiment this morning, I was overwhelmed by women replying, telling me just how much they hate it too. That's fine. But how many of these other women have told people to stop doing it or to fuck off? That's all you need to do. If somebody, it's only the same as if somebody comes up and touches your arse. You can smack the hand away, tell them to fuck off, punch them in the face, headbutt them, whatever. Then we've got this little tweet here that says, "There's a special place in hell for men who move you out of the way by putting their hands on your hips and steering you." Really? Okay, well, I've had to do that a few times to both men and women, just put my hands on either hips or shoulders to move them out of the way, but it seems that hips are the no mention of shoulders, so she doesn't mind being touched on the shoulders, but the hips, because the hips are too close to her fanny and her arse, and as we all know, if a man goes anywhere near a woman's fanny or their arse, they must be a rapist. Oh. The sense of entitlement to another person's body is a mystery to me. Perhaps they think it's just a friendly gesture, or that it doesn't mean anything. I can assure you it's not, and it does. It's human nature to touch each other. Unfortunately, there's no legal description of what is classed as personal space around your body. If you're stood on a tube train, and I know it gets crowded on those tube trains in London, sometimes you don't have the luxury of having personal space. You can scream and shout at people all you want, but they're trying to get to the work the same as you are, and if they have to get on a train and be packed in like sardines, then that's what's going to happen. And yeah, people do take piss when they're doing it, when that happens, and they do start groping and everything like that, and they are dirty bastards and they need to be fucking brought to task for it. But something like that, it is a friendly gesture, like the example you gave where you fell over and you said you were stumbling and this guy grabbed you and moved you or whatever. The chances are 99% sure that this guy was he grabbed hold of you to stop you from falling over. He didn't want your thanks, that's why he didn't hang around, so he just did it and moved on. In that particular case, it doesn't mean anything, and in most cases, it doesn't mean anything. You touch somebody, it's noisy, it's loud, you touch somebody just to move them out of the way, instead of being rude and saying, "Get out of me fucking way, bitch." That's... I don't know what the equivalent there. There's this sense of entitlement, like, nobody's allowed to come near me, nobody's allowed to interact with me. Keep away, you dirty scum, and things like that. I've had people touch me. I don't particularly like people touching me, period, but I've had people touch me to move me out the way or to warn me that something's going off or whatever, tapped on the shoulder to get my attention. I don't like any of that, and people tapping me on the shoulder I really don't like, because that's actually quite painful for me. But, you know, it happens. It's just part of everyday life, and it seems that you're unable to deal with it. You assume that everybody that's touching you is doing so because they're doing it for a sexual or a perverted reason. Somehow I don't think you'd apply the same rules if it was a woman doing it, because I've seen women do the same thing to other women as well. The guiding hand in the small of the back also falls into this category. It sends a message that you think that we're too weak to find our own way around. Fucking hell, did nobody bloody proofread this before publishing it? Find our own way around, which I can assure you, we're not. Most of us have been walking unaided for several decades.
Hang on a minute. What is that? Oh my fucking god. That looks horrible. Who the fuck would want a cunt on their hand? Why are snowflakes and shit so obsessed with genitalia? I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
There's a little tweet here that says, and for those who touch the small of your back shudders, they are usually strangers too. I think touching the small of the back is a little bit far. I can't say I've ever seen anybody do that. I've seen people pat each other on the back, or occasionally like slap each other's arse or something like that. But again, if you don't like somebody doing that, tell them to fucking stop. I really don't know what the problem is. Telling people to stop, telling people fuck off. You're alright, so somebody might do it and then just walk away and stuff like that. But it doesn't inflict a massive, devastating, life-threatening wound or anything like that. It shouldn't cause you to suffer from, PTSD for the rest of your life. And if something like that does, then, realistically, you shouldn't be going out and about with people, because if you're going to get triggered that easily, then there's serious psychological problems there that need to be dealt with by a professional. But anyway, we'll carry on. If you're a man and you're reading this with confusion, with no idea what I'm talking about because you've never done this, fantastic. Carry on with your day. You're not part of the problem, but please be assured the problem is real. You mean the problem of people just randomly touching you without any kind of intent, or whether you're not sure of their intent, but you assume that they're doing it because they have some sort of malintent towards you, or some sort of sexual perversion, things like that. But when a blanket statement like there's a special place in hell for men who grab your hips to move you, there's always people, usually men, who question why. It's not hurting anyone, is it? It's well intended. Why get so upset about it? As a woman, you are constantly aware that every second person you walk past in the street is stronger than you. You're raised in a culture of fear that, oh, fuck off, we're going to the fucking rape culture thing here. No, sorry, I refuse. I refuse to read the rest of the statements out, because basically goes on, when someone puts their hands on your body without invitation, it doesn't matter what the intention is, it's invasive and presumptuous. What? Because all men are rapists? Oh, fuck off. You were doing so well. For some of us it's scary, for others it's annoying, and for other people they just don't fucking mind it. They can go on with their life. No one wants a stranger to touch you uninvited. No, of course not. You don't want people just randomly touching you. You don't know what they've got. They might have, wiped the nose or their arse on the hand and then touch you. But if you go out in public, that's what's going to happen. You don't have any kind of there's no legal definition of what is classed as your personal space. And I know this because I had this discussion before with somebody who claimed that he had evidence that it was a legal precedent that each person was entitled to 3 feet of personal space, basically a circle with a radius of 3 feet. I asked him to provide evidence of this, and the best evidence he could give was, well, I think I remember seeing something on telly about it once. And I looked through all the things of British law, and there is absolutely no legal precedent or anything at all written down that says that you are entitled to 3 feet of personal space at all times. What the program was, because I actually remember watching it, it was basically a guy. I can't remember exactly what the program was, or which channel it was on, or when it was on, but I just remember doing it because it was so absurd. Basically what it was is there was a guy, and he had made some sort of like harness that he used to wear when he went out and about in the street, and basically this harness had poles extending from it that were 3 feet long, extending, forward, backward, left and right, and then they had a circle of plastic connecting them all. So basically he had a 3 foot radius circle all around him, and it showed him walking down the street wearing this harness, and people were getting out of his way and everything like that, and he got a few funny looks, but otherwise nothing. And he said he was doing that to enforce his right to personal space, and there is none. It's just basically someone being a bit eccentric and not wanting people to come near them, which is fine if you don't do that, but if we all wore harnesses like these to keep each other away, because obviously you'd get, if we all were told that, oh, you can't come within 3 feet of someone, we'd all have to wear harnesses like that, because invariably somebody would come within 3 feet of you, by accident, or you could walk in the way, you could be walking towards somebody and you would encroach onto their space at the same time as they encroach onto your space. So we'd all have to wear harnesses to make us basically like bumper cars, and so that your radius or whatever would bounce off their radius, and everybody would be able to keep 3 feet away from each other at all times. It would just be absurd, and it wouldn't work, and there's a reason why it's not in law, because quite simply it's pathetic. If you are that bad that you cannot stand other people, I mean, I suffer from anxiety. I don't like going out where there's loads of people around, the noise, the people walking around, the smell of people, stuff like that. It puts me on edge. It sets my anxiety off and stuff like that, and I start trembling and things like that. And occasionally I just can't take it at all. I can't even leave the house. But you if you really don't want to go out because you don't want to meet people like that, just in case. I mean, bear in mind this entire article is based on a couple of incidents that she's had happen, but she's now tarring all men with the same brush, saying that all men have done this to her and things like that. Apart from the bit where she says, if you're reading this and you haven't done that, then fantastic, But she's gone on to spend most of the article saying that she thinks that all men are going to do this. It's a presumption. Not everybody does this. And it's like I say, yeah, all right, so fair enough. So people shouldn't be allowed to touch you if you don't want to, and especially not if they're doing it in some sort of perverted way. Depends entirely. It's entirely subjective. If you don't mind the person touching you, that's fine. You can work somewhere and you don't mind certain people touching you, but you do mind other people touching you. You can always tell people, please don't do that. Please don't touch me. I don't like you doing that. Especially so if they do so in a particularly, I won't say perverted, in a kind of sexually suggestive way. I mean, I've had women walk up behind me and put their hands on my hips and then get me from behind in sort of like an embrace kind of thing while I was doing something, or while I was at work and things like that. It's not very nice. You can say, oh, get off me or whatever, stuff like that. If they refuse to get off you, then that's basically a case for kind of groping, sexual harassment, something like that. I don't know. Most of the time, though, you can take it in good spirits, just like someone puts their arms around you. A lot of leftists, they like being cuddled and stuff like that. So I'm not quite sure why it's okay for people to cuddle you, but not okay for people to touch you just to move you out of the way, kind of thing. I suppose it's something to do with consent, but somebody can just come up and do that to you, and by that, and then you realise who it is, and you go like, oh, that's all right then, sort of thing. But yeah, it does. This is the thing there. She goes through the article saying all stuff like this, and then basically accuse all men of being rapists at the end of it. There is a little poll here down the bottom that she put up. I don't know whether she's put it up or whether the paper's put it up, but it just says, does the hip grab bother you? And there's 4 answers you can give. I had to give an answer in order to see the results here, but 4 answers are, yes, it's gross, yes, it makes me feel unsafe, no, it's no big deal, and no, I like it. I put no, I like it, because, I don't mind people, hugging me and stuff like that. Just to get answer, but by no means are the results of this poll to be taken seriously, but the most popular answer is no, it's no big deal. And I think that is most people's attitude towards it, is basically most people can just get on with their lives. It's like I say, you stood in a crowded place, people might touch you to move you out of the way or whatever. You're at work, it's busy, people don't have the time to stand there and have a long conversation about consent and moving you and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just a case of, quick hand on the shoulder, quick hand on the hip, or in the back or whatever, just to shoo you out the way, kind of thing. If they're coming through and they need a little bit more space to get past you, it's nothing. It's nothing. It really is nothing. If it gets to the point where somebody's doing it all the time, when they don't really need to, then yeah, you've got a bit of a problem there. And this goes for both men and women. It's just, but for the most part, it's nothing. It really is nothing. And the kind of people that say that, like, yes, it's gross, are the kind of people that get triggered by everything. And to be quite frank, they do need psychiatric help. Humans are a social species. Touching each other is an important part of how we socially bond. We have babies and infant children will touch faces, without asking for any consent. They'll touch people's faces. I don't think I've ever seen a child or toddler that's never grabbed a woman's boob before. But when we touch each other, it gives you more of a connection to that person. It's kind of a reassuring hand and stuff like that. So I really don't know what she's getting at here. She wants to, she doesn't want people touching her hips. That's fine. Okay, so when anybody does it, say, please don't touch me. That's it. That's all you've got to do. If they carry on doing it, then yeah, they're being pervy or whatever. So, report them to the boss for sexual harassment. If they continue doing it, touching someone and thingy is a criminal offence. Groping people up and stuff like that is a criminal offence. They said, though, what proof can you give and stuff like that. But most men, if you do something like that and you tell them to pack it in, the vast majority of men will say, "Oh, sorry," and stuff like that. Yeah, they might forget at a later point, but you can just say the same thing to them again and just pack it in. If you're having to say to somebody, the same person 5-6 times a day, can you not do that? Can you not do that? Can you not do that? Then yeah, that means that they're either ignorant or they do have this presumption that they can touch you without, whatever. And especially so if they're touching you and they're getting some sort of thrill out of it. There we are. So anyways, that's the article to an end. This video has gone on a lot longer than what I wanted it to, as usual. But the problem is you have to discuss things in depth sometimes, and I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing there. It's don't worry about it. It's you're not going to go out on the street, and if you think that just leaving your house you're going to end up getting attacked or raped or whatever, that's just something that you've been told, and it's created an air of fear, especially amongst women. Well, it's aimed directly at women. It's to make women scared of men, and the vast majority of men aren't going to do anything to you. Most men will just fucking ignore you these days because they don't want to say or do anything in case they get accused of being a rapist or something. But yeah, just if somebody touches you like that, just take it for what it is. It's not a sexual attack on you or anything like that. It's just another human being touching another human being for some reason, more than likely not a sexual one. So yeah, thingy card on the screen with my Twitter. Like, comment, share. If you like this video, if you're feeling extra generous, you can drop me a tip at the PayPal given there on the card. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.